Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of the Dreamstar Grand Prix review series. Of course, for day 4 here, Korakuen Hall. We got 2 guests today because it's a special big time show to talk about here, featuring Utami Hayashishita versus MIRAI, as well as Sari versus Miku Aono, and so on and so forth. First up, Xavi, welcome back. You've already been part of this Dreamstar series, so you're back 2 episodes later. How are you today?
Good. This time, this one was in fact scheduled, unlike last time. So,
That's
uh,
true.
good to be back. Got a lot to talk about from this Korakuen, and a good one on a Monday, which not the ideal day for Korakuen, but it worked out pretty well.
It did. And then Dylan, of course, welcome back. You were on the Stardom series. Now you're here to talk Marigold. How are you, my friend?
I'm all right. Yeah, we got to talk about KBS Hall last time around. Funnily enough, we watched that show together, and we watched this show together. The three of us. I mean, we forced Xavier to watch that Stardom show as well.
Yeah, I went to bed
Um,
immediately.
yeah, he wasn't feeling it, but we were all feeling it tonight. We were all vibing. It was a good Corkin show, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Awesome. Well, yes, we have a lot to talk about here. 7 tournament matches, a quick cork, and I'll give them that credit. That show was in and out within 2 hours, which was really lovely. But we have so much to talk about, so we're not going to hold you too long. Before we get to that, though, I asked for you to please press like on the video. Helps with the algorithm, gets us noticed a little bit more. Leave a comment. What was your favorite match of the night? I think there's a lot of debate amongst fans already. What is the best match of the night? Because I think if you're walking away from the show with a favorite match, it might be your match of the tournament. So I want to hear what your thoughts was over in the overall show. I've seen some praise as well for the show as a whole as one of Marigold's best. I have to agree. And then also subscribe if you haven't already, so you never miss an episode. We got 3 tournament episodes coming up next weekend, so you definitely don't want to miss those. But let's get to it. We have day 4 of the Dreamstar Grand Prix, which of course kicked off with Misa Matsui versus CHIAKI, both wrestlers looking for their first win. And oftentimes when I watch Misa Matsui, she's like the perfect opening wrestler. I think she just gets it in that respect. And CHIAKI obviously, just is the coolest wrestler on the roster. And I think CHIAKI is very much like the wrestler I've watched in this tournament. Like, her matches aren't long, but she is growing each and every match. And that's kind of how my takeaway was with this one. Going from the Sari match to this one, very different opponents, but I think she mixes well with those opponents. And being the starting match for this show, I think was a little bit more difficult because of what was to come later on in the show and even the match after this. But I thought they did a good job to open up the show with CHIAKI getting the shock win. Dylan, how did you enjoy the opener here for the Korakuen show?
Yeah, I thought it was a solid match. I think they've both had a bit better showings earlier in the tournament, but uh, to be fair, one of them's wrestled Sari already, one of them's wrestled Nanae already. That's kind of expected. Um, I thought it was a fun match, like you said. I think Chiaki really just continues to prove that she really has a foothold in this company, and she has like forward motion and something to really strive for and be that I don't think can be said with everybody on the roster. Um, that's not really even a shot. It's just like Chiaki has such a clear ambition and goal and like place that I think it's really cool to see her in matches like this and see her get the win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We haven't gotten to see that yet. And I was really hoping for it. I love Misa, but I was really hoping for a Chiaki win here. I was super happy to get it. I thought the reverse Rana or the reversal to the Rana, not the reverse Rana, was a cool way to kind of end the match and just Chiaki is gonna be like, I did it. Fuck y'all. You know what I mean? Like that was just the vibe. It was just she was very much just like, shitting grin and everything. Just like, yeah, I did what I had to do. And I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think really if you like I said, if you've been watching these 2 along the way, you can definitely become a big fan of theirs. And overall, like, Xavi, I know you specifically obviously like CHIAKI when we did the preview on my podcast. I think every match you highlighted was a CHIAKI match. So like I want you to tell me, like, so far, based on performances. This is a very different review, everybody, from the usual ones. We're kind of at the halfway point, so we can kind of break down tournaments now. How have you liked CHIAKI from, say, the first match to now? Do you think she has shown the growth, or do you think there's still more for her to unlock as she gets into some of the bigger matches along the way?
Definitely think that she's shown the growth, and I think she can do both. Actually, I think she's shown the growth, but I think she can do more in her upcoming matches because she's still got Nanae coming up, which, you know, Nanae's running away with MVP like full speed. So I think, given the right amount of time, I mean, I definitely think it'll be better than their previous meeting. My main concern was how her match structure would be going throughout this tournament. I want to say it was the Miku match that I didn't like the flow of because she was trying to fit in her heel stuff, but she still which I don't think sometimes people forget because, people put Marigold on this high scale. CHIAKI has only traditionally been wrestling like since the company launch, and she has the hardest task in this entire company of becoming a Rudo in a time where it's very hard to be a Rudo necessarily in the realm of Joshi. A lot of people are doing it and just being very bad. CHIAKI's very calculated and she wants to be a Rudo and she wants to be good at it. And I think she was trying to force that too much in the Miku match because, like, okay, they put together a match and then it just kind of broke down because, she got the chair in and it got real messy there. And then they wrangled it back up at the end and it was
Plus,
still
they only had
fine.
like 5 minutes was a big part of that as well.
That's the point. I'm trying to then they had to wrangle it back in because they didn't have a lot of time. And I was like, I really hope that's not her entire tournament because that was a little rough because she tried to cram all of her stuff into the little amount of time that she was allowed it. I think she's done good in moderation since then, especially namely these last two matches. I think this one, of course, the Sari performance was really good from her. Her jumping Sari she's like the first person in this company that has tried to, fucking bump up this Sari. Sari's just dragged this entire company through the mud, and CHIAKI fucking jumps her before the bell, tries to fuck her wrist up, use chairs. She's the only one that came with the action. And obviously that performance was very good for her. But I think this match was her most complete performance as a singles competitor because while she didn't heal it up as much as she has in the past, it's a good tweak to what her heel style is. I think she used the chair like once or twice, but she still, did her thing and they had like a good, solid opening match. So I think this was a home run of a performance for her because I think it was just her most complete outing. She still got to do the heel stuff and then it didn't mess up the flow of the match. So that's the positive.
Yeah. Next up was Chika Goto versus Victoria Yuzuki. Obviously, big time rivalry matchup between the two, and I think you felt that within the crowd. The crowd was very into this match, and I think that's kind of the beauty of it. I know Xavier's probably going to explode at the idea that Chika Goto once again came up short with Yuzuki getting the big win with the rolling arrow. But I think for Dylan, you had said this while watching it. Oddly enough, these two are better with more time. You would not expect that for their experience level, but I think that they have such a story that they've created through their first match and their tags against one another that you just kind of want to see them keep going. And I think the reason this match didn't reach its peak is because of that timing. That being said, I really enjoyed what they put together. I think there is a great disdain between the two of them that just is, you can feel it and it's natural, right? It doesn't feel, and I think that's kind of the beauty of this rivalry and then pretty much Sari against the roster. It's a very natural vibe that you get that kind of elevates a match. Now, this being said, I don't think this was the blow away match that I wanted them to have at Korakuen Hall, but it's a building block in their rivalry with Yuzuki getting the win.
Yeah, I agree. I think that their 15-minute draw shockingly was better. Um, Also a match we watched together and we're like, 15 minutes this is gonna be a bit of a hassle. And then we watched it and we're like, oh damn, that was really good.
Yeah,
I think this was a bit of a step down. I think there was some messiness, which I still excuse from these two because I am a fan of
sure.
theirs and I expect it. I don't really mind it. But in certain instances I do think it kind of messed certain things up more than others. I think the she went for the was it the thunder spiral? I forget what it's called.
Mhm.
Lightning spiral, something like that.
It's the
Page
lightning
turner.
spiral.
Yeah, lightning spiral. She went for
Oh,
that.
buddy.
Hey, I tried not to say it. I couldn't think of the name.
Don't
She
you
went for
dare.
the lightning spiral. Yuzuki did, and Chika couldn't really sell it well, and it just kind of like fell apart. And like that, if that really connected with Chika selling, it would have been like a really cool high end spot near the end of the match. But we just couldn't get that done. I thought it was a good match. I thought it was a heated match. I really enjoyed it, but I do think they have better in them. They will probably show better in the future, and they have shown better in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. Xavier, how do you like this match?
Well, it was a cool match, and Yuzuki won. I don't know what you want me to say. Yeah, I'm in the same boat as in, if they got like 6 more minutes, I think we'd have been around the same ballpark as their first match.
Yeah.
I love the forearm exchange between them.
Yeah.
Like these two, they just have a very clear hatred of each other in kayfabe. Like literally, they were smiling in their entrances, and then as soon as right after Go Chika had her name announced, they just fucking looked like they wanted to kill each other, and it was great. Obviously, I like these two together a lot. Literally, the first match of the first house show is when Go Chika became my favorite wrestler in this company because she decided to just drop Yuzuki on her skull, and I thought that was pretty sick.
Oh, we have my Sakurai versus Kizuna Tanaka. I think this match was a lot better than I expected, and I think that's just like I think I've reached. Yeah, like I think I just have to reach the point where I expect quality out of my Sakurai, no matter the opponent.
That's weird because I think I've quickly adjusted to that.
It just okay. So I've adjusted to it with like the other opponents, but with a younger wrestler like Kizuna, I just was like, I don't know how this is gonna go. But Kizuna is very advanced for her experience, obviously, so I should just be used to that. But I thought led this match really well, and I think Kizuna is just such a great underdog baby face that you just want to see her win. They had a great near fall in this match. Obviously, Mai ended up winning. But however, I will say this. I think whenever Kizuna gets the big win, I think she will get one in this tournament. It's going to be great. Like, it's going to be a great moment, whatever arena it happens. But for my Sakurai, she's kind of on fire right now, and she's leading the Star League with confidence. And I'm not against her being in the conversation come that final day at all. And I think that creates excitement, right? I think part of the tournaments and especially the final days is you want multiple wrestlers to have a shot. And my Sakurai has put in the work, especially over this past month, to be one of those wrestlers, and they're establishing her, and she's becoming a bigger star as each match goes on. So yeah, I enjoyed this match. Xavi, how did you like this match?
Oddly enough, like literally, I thought the same thing for Kazuna that I thought of CHIAKI, where I thought this was like her most complete performance as a singles wrestler. Like I don't know if nobody saw the Nanae match from the day before, you should, because it was a good outing for her. But it feels like this was just a continuation of that in a sense, as far as what she brought to the table. She had more fire. She didn't stumble through some things as much as she usually does on the regular. She just looked very competent, and it's just a good sign to see because the tools have always been there for Kazuna. It's all about her just putting the pieces together, and of course, she's going to have a long time to do that. She's still very early on in her career. She's young, but it's good to see that improvement is visible going forward. And like I said earlier, I've kind of now swapped to this switched gears, should I say? Yeah, they gotta forgive me. It's like 1 a.m. here, but you got where I've switched gears to where I've expected good performances out of her, and I think that's worked in her detriment as I've reviewed some of these shows, because like where it's like I expect her to do this, but when like a match like under delivers to me because I've already changed my position to where I think she can just be great consistently, that does work against her. Not so much here. I thought she was great here, especially in the role as the aggressor. Surprisingly, for someone who, arguably the most improved wrestler, that she was just so good at controlling this match and basically leading the match with a less experienced wrestler, which, my Sakurai, not even like a year ago, like a few months ago, like her doing this is like unfathomable, but she's done great. Loved her getting the win, especially with that sick ass STF she does. It was nasty. It was nasty.
Dylan, how'd you feel?
Yeah, I liked it as well. I think one thing that we gotta kind of look at with this tournament is that in a way, Rossi lucked out at how good the question marks have been throughout this tournament. And that includes someone who hasn't been on the show, which is Koki. All of her first 3 matches have been very good. I mean, all of my Sakurai's matches thus far have been either very good or funny. Like, I thought the Bozilla one was hilarious. I mean? Like, it wasn't a great match, but it was a hilarious match. Kizuna has been really delivering. Like, I think Nori, we talked about this during the show. It's like, if Nori came in and wasn't good and was booked the way Rossi was always going to book her, people would have been quite upset. But Nori is just hitting it out of the park. So really, like, when you look at like the floor that this roster, especially the people in this tournament, have, it's very high. You know what I mean? And this match was not like this, like, blow away match, but like it was a further testament to just like it's hard to get a bad pairing out of this roster right now. You know what I mean? Outside of like stark mishaps with just like chemistry that happen here or there, it's really hard because this match doesn't sound like it should necessarily work, like you said, but it just did, and it was a lot of fun. I thought Kazuna did a great job. I thought that my Sakurai, continues to prove that she really, really is picking up the slack that everybody wanted her to with Julia gone, and I think that I had a great time here. It was a match that meant something more than just like the match itself. I was like, damn, this shouldn't be as good as it is, considering everything. So I was happy with it.
Now let's get to the big 4, starting with Natsumi Showzuki versus Nori. I've done 3 of these videos so far, and the praise for Nori has outweighed, I think, the praise for everyone else. So it's only right we do it again with number 4. Her and Shizuki was great. I loved their match. They kicked the hell out of each other. It was a raw match. Like, this match wasn't perfect. It wasn't pretty. It was nasty. Like, there were times as you watch this match, you're like, oh, that's a receipt. Oh, that's a receipt. Like, this wasn't supposed to be pretty. And that's, like, I think the beauty of the match. And I think the beauty of all 4 final matches, they're all very much laid out differently. And I think that's why, for me, they all stand out. It's why I like all 4 of them as much as I do, and I think that's why this show is going to go down as one of Marigold's best, is because they all stood apart. Shizuki is like one of the most underrated wrestlers on the scene right now. I just think, like, you put her in a big match against someone where she needs to go out there and whether it be deliver or get someone over, she's going to do it while also just looking great, whether it be in winning or defeat or a draw. And I think this was one of those times where they had a mission, right? Nori has been a incredible force within this tournament that Rossi is booking to be dominant. And this was the one match I wanted Nori to win. Like, I didn't care about the results of any other match. This was the one I wanted to win because I wanted them to run this back for the Superfly title. And I think it's definitely a possibility now that Nori got the big win. The kicks were nasty. Nori, and I've said this every review, she just throws them. It doesn't matter where they're going. She might hit you a little high. She might, hit you a little too hard, but you're just going to deal with it. And Showzuki's the type of wrestler that's going to deal with it and come back and hit her just as hard. And I think that's why I liked this so much. Nori's a beast. She's a monster. She can never, ever leave like the Marigold world. I need her to stay in it. She may not be on every show moving forward, but I need her to be on at least once a month, because if she just disappears in the LLPWX dungeon that doesn't run shows, I will be very upset. So go out of your way to see this one. Nori gets the win. She, as Wrestling Universe said, she doesn't have an established finisher, and I think that's the beauty of her matches. She's just throwing them kicks, and if she hits you in the face, you might be out, and that's what happened in this match. So, Dylan, how did you enjoy the battle between Shizuki and Nori?
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna get a tag league in this company, but if we do, give me Nori and Takako and Noe stat. Just shit. Takako could get another one. She could get another tag belt. Who cares? No, but for real, I thought this match was really, really good. I loved it. The kicks, the meteoras were insane. Nori's sleeper hold, which was a thing that kind of carried a lot of the early match, was Nori just like really trying to, choke not Nozaki, choke Shizuki out. And I was just like, damn, that's just a rear naked choke. That's just a shoot. Like she's got like a completely legitimate rear naked choke on. She's just not squeezing as hard as she would if she was trying to, kill her. So that's great. And yeah, I liked it a lot. I've kind of been looking at Nori as like, oh, she's this wrestler who, is younger, so she doesn't have it all together, in the sense that, from a kayfabe point of view at least, in a sense that she doesn't always know how to finish a match. As you noted, she doesn't have a finisher technically. She hit the finisher we knew about, and obviously Shizuki got to the ropes, so that was a big spot near the end of the match. But she doesn't have like this great finish potential because she doesn't know how to sometimes. But she feels undefeatable thus far, and I think that's a really cool aspect of her. Because when she does eventually lose, I'm assuming that Kandori is going to let her lose to at least one person in this tournament. Once that does happen, I think it'll be a huge moment for whoever gets to beat her. But yeah, I thought it was a super fun match, and I think everybody should check it out because they just beat the hell out of each other.
Xavi.
Yeah, no, same boat. If there's like one match that Nori's had so far in this tournament that I think Kandori would be watching, just cigar in the mouth clapping, it'd be this one, just because of how real it felt. Like that, like this, if you just had no idea, you would have think these two just did not like each other, because everything they did in here just seemed like it was them like trying to pay each other back for whatever happened previously. I think Nori has been the overwhelming. I don't want to say she's not the MVP of the tournament, but she might be the fan favorite of the tournament just because of how well she's performed in these big spots that she's been put in.
Most impressive, probably, because
yeah.
it's just like oh wow,
yeah, because she was probably the one wrestler in this tournament where it was. I mean, I guess you can put Koki in there too, where it's like sink or swim, just because you don't know what she's capable of in a single setting. She hasn't had that chance to, be in a single setting, and she's knocking it out of the park. She's like going toe to toe with like some of the best wrestlers like Showzuki, MIRAI. Like she does not feel out of place, and that really says a lot about how good she is. It's crazy. Like you said, I need her to just stick around in some capacity, just because I want to see how good she can get if she continues to get some consistent reps in pro wrestling, which isn't always afforded at the LLPWX dojo. Showzuki's another person who I think's had a really slept on tournament. I mean, I think the opening draw with Victoria Yuzuki was pretty rough, but after that, I think she's been clicking on all cylinders. and she still got the heavy hitters left. So I'm quite interested to see how she finishes out this tournament, and hopefully she'll keep delivering.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have to. I don't think it's possible. I could talk up Nori more. People, it's just kind of
think
what I
you
do
could.
now.
I will
I don't
say,
think I can. It's every show. Like it's every time I do this. What, Dylan?
I will say, sorry. I will say, I loved how like gritty it was in the fact that, and I said this during the match. It looked like at one point Shizuki just tried to shoot cover her because she's like, I don't
Yeah.
trust this chick.
Yeah,
like
it was
things just got a
awesome.
little messy. She was like, I'm pinning her,
But
and I thought that was sick.
And I think like what's so great about Nori's two best matches so far, this one and the MIRAI match for me, is that they're so different. They're just very different. Like the MIRAI one has the shoot style, and it kind of gets to that exchanging.
They were on the ground a lot.
Yeah, this one was just like, who's gonna knock the other out, right? Who's gonna choke the other out, and it was awesome. So as I keep saying to everyone, like I know everyone's going to watch the big three matches on the show, but make sure you watch this one. If you're gonna skip it, if you're gonna skip some matches, because not everyone can watch everything, do not skip this one. I will be very upset. Next up, we have Nanae Takahashi versus Bozilla. I mean, what can we say about Nanae that hasn't been said this year? Nanae, and I think our good friend Alex said it perfectly. Nanae suffers this year from Sari and Mayu Utani having just unreal, unbelievable type years, because it almost makes Nanae's year seem so much lower, but my God, she's having a great year. Nanae is Bozilla's best opponent. And I think that's the most important part of this entire match is Bozilla not only feels most comfortable with her, but Nanae brings the best out of her. And I've said this for every Nanae match so far. You can tell who Nanae likes and who she. Yeah,
it's very obvious if you've seen like Nanae matches. Like it's quite obvious who she, loves and who she doesn't love.
And she obviously likes Bozilla, and one of the things I'm watching as I watch this match, and I said to you guys, how much does this poor woman have to ice after her matches? Right? She is older. She is, we've talked about it. It's been acknowledged by Marigold. Like Nanae is not in it for a long time. She might train for a long time, but her career is obviously on the back end here. And she is going through this grueling tournament, having arguably the best tournament, by the way. And it's just incredible what she is accomplishing in the ring. And her and Bozilla beat the piss out of each other. I'm just gonna be frank about it. Like this was a fight. Like the last match was a fight in terms of they might like someone's gonna knock each other out type beat. This was just let's just scrap, see what happens type thing. Nanae and Bozilla ran into each other a million times. They slapped each other a million times. The crowd's so into Bozilla, by the way, at Korakuen. I think Bozilla at Korakuen is the perfect scenario. I don't think it's as easy for her to adjust to the smaller venues because, I think Bozilla's a very big personality, but also the wow factor that she brings, she doesn't get to showcase that in her smaller matches either. So when she's in there with the Nanaes and the Utamis and the MIRAIs, it's when she's at her best. This was the second singles match between these two, and it was another absolutely great match. Well worth going away. And Nanae gets the shocking win, which is a big pop for me in the end. Dylan, you lead the Passion Army, I'd argue. I think you make sure to give Nanae her proper respect each and every week, as much as you can. So I will let you take it here.
Yeah, I heard reports that Nanae was thinking about slowing down a little bit this week, but then she actually got to watch Euphoria and Hechisero, and she realized that there's no slowing down, baby. This is pro fucking wrestling, and she had this absolute banger performance. My favorite match of the night. I think that Nanae and Bozilla are. Nanae has like 7 soulmates in pro wrestling. I feel like Bozilla is just like another perfect wrestler for Nanae to wrestle against. This was tremendous. they when they like I don't know, Bozilla has a few problems as a wrestler, and I feel like those all wash away when Nanae's in the ring with her. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think that is like such a notable thing. You know what I mean? Even if this wasn't your match of the tournament, it wasn't my match of the tournament. It was up there, but it wasn't my match of the tournament. But you have to give Nanae credit for like just being able to really, get the most out of Bozilla more than anybody else has twice now. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like outside of that opening tag match, which, Bozilla was surrounded by, two of the best wrestlers in the world, a great tag wrestler, and the vibe of being on the first let me speak. Let me speak. And the vibe of being on the first ever Marigold show, like she had this great, I heard the Chelsea Green match was good. No, but I like on that great, like this was y'all ridiculous. No,
You
like
can't just hit a great tag wrestler. Just expect me to.
oh my Julia, you
Everyone,
feel me?
yeah.
It is
No,
But no,
midnight, ladies and gentlemen.
Bozilla. No, all I'm saying is that Bozilla really gets so much from being in the ring with Nanae,
yeah,
and I love this favorite match of the night. It was great.
yeah. Before we kick it to Xavier, I just want to say, I think Nanae has a real claim of Marigold's MVP here for this
Hmm.
first year. If you want to take Sareee out of it, if you want to take, just like any outsider involvement or anything like that, I just think her importance to this roster and getting the best match out of the Misa Matsuis and the Bozillas, right? Twice. She's done that twice with both of them. And it's why like the rest of her tournament is so exciting. It's why her and Sari should probably main event that next Korakuen show. And it's why I think she should be challenging for the world title after this tournament. Her dedication to this brand and helping build the future will be overlooked by the many people that hate her, but they are incorrect. And as Jordan Patu puts it, to the nine haters, fuck you.
Fuck
Continue,
you.
Xavier.
Yeah, no, evergreen. No, there's no denying that Nanae's the MVP, especially in this first year. Yeah, not just in ring, but like she's a trainer, obviously, and this roster doesn't improve, in my opinion, without her. She coaches them up very well, and I think that helps her with Bozilla a lot because I feel that a lot of Bozilla opponents, uh, they try to work either a traditional, big person, little person match, or I mean, the tags are usually great, but like from a single setting, they usually try to work the big person, all person formula, which it's fine, but it's very overplayed, especially with Bozilla and the company. I think Nanae has this ability to push Bozilla into her strengths more than relying on her weaknesses. Like, you know, um, I am probably the highest person on the Miku Bozilla match from earlier in the Grand Prix, but even then, like her inconsistencies as a wrestler were pretty much on display. Nanae very much forces Bozilla into working her strengths and minimizing her weaknesses, and she's willing to do whatever Bozilla wants to do. They like brawled around the whole outside of the ring. They slapped the shit out of each other. This was just a good match, man. Nanae doing the headbutt before the wrist clutch back suplex. I was like, God, how don't this is the fucking international treasure. I don't know why y'all hating. um, Nanae getting the roll up win and then celebrating around the whole arena just makes you smile because it was so extra because Bozilla's being held back by like the entire roster because she tried to strangle her. It's like it's the greatest thing ever.
And
You just
they're
gotta go
not
see
taking her
this.
time, bro. She
Yeah,
was taking her time as
yeah.
Bozilla was
This is match of
straight
the night for
jacked.
me. Just seek it out.
It's passion, baby. That's all I can say. It's passion. Next up, we had the champion versus champion semi main event. We had Sari going 1-on-1 with Miku Aono. This was destruction of the United National Champion in full force. For essentially 15 minutes, Miku Aono got destroyed by Sari. And Sari is still not happy about this match. I think the beauty of this tournament, specifically the Star League, and I said this one as soon as the match, I don't even think the match was over, is surviving Sari. That is literally the Star League. That is what it is. It's like she hates all of you. She doesn't respect any of you. And what are you gonna do about it? She has some respect for Nanae because you gotta love passion a little bit. But if she doesn't, she's gonna pay for it on Monday. I think the beauty for me of this match is watching Miku Aono fight back, and the finish of this match was so perfectly timed. Right? Everyone's watched draws.
Mhm.
We've watched draw. If you watch Joshi, you've watched draws. Trust me.
Probably watched plenty in the past year.
and sometimes the timing can be off for the end, or it's not as exciting. Right? This had Sari hitting the Uranagi, and literally as the ref was about to count 3, the bell rang. It was perfect. And before that, Miku Aono took, like I said, she took a beating, but she kept coming back as much as she could. There was a point where you saw some of the hardest kicks I think Miku Aono has ever hit in her life, because she was probably like, all right, you're beating the hell out of me, chill out. And Sari just gets happier and more excited as someone fights back, right? We saw in the CHIAKI match, we see it here. Sari is real in Marigold is so entertaining because she smiles so much during the match, but it's only when when the first bell rings and the second bell rings. After that second bell, she turns it back on. She's like, I'm disappointed I didn't beat your ass. Like this sucks. Like I failed myself tonight because I thought you were going to be easy. She called this woman easy, and to be fair, it looked pretty easy for most of the match. That being said, it helps Miku Aono, right? Like this has been her story in Marigold, is surviving and proving people wrong, right? She survived the series with MIRAI, shockingly. She beat Bozilla and shocked everyone, and now she survived Sareee. And I think if these two never run it back, it's a crime. That's how that was my takeaway from this match. Like this was the perfect builder to the next time they face off. And I think obviously Miku Aono leaving Actress Girls to join Marigold is one of the biggest parts of their success this year. I think that goes without saying. But there's no bigger success than getting Sari to agree to be your world champion. All right. Anyways, next up, Xavi, how do you feel about this one?
Yeah, no. Hey, listen. Sari's mission this whole tournament is seek and destroy. She has openly said that she doesn't believe anybody in her league is strong other than Bozilla and Nanae, which I think that's funny.
It's real, to be fair.
If you look at the fact that she's got them left, so those matches will be interesting for sure. But just her character of not only her being a great wrestler and delivering in the ring, but she's been building stories with the entire roster, because I think if there's anything you can knock Marigold on is sometimes a lot of people don't have stories to sink their teeth into, as far as Yuzuki and Chika, for example, they've done a great job where they've created their own story off to the side. Some people just haven't done that for some reason or another. Sari, she's basically created stories for this whole roster by saying, I don't respect any of y'all. Can somebody show me something? Like, is anybody gonna try to stop me? You're all weak. And I think that's something she should be, commended for, is she's been able to carve out a story for this entire roster. Miku had another great performance. Probably my favorite one, just because, as you said, her story is just her being the shocker as far as in the company. She shocked Bozilla to win the title. I loved her defense against Koki, but I think this is my favorite performance just because Sari just fucking stomped through her, and she just wouldn't quit. Literally, she took 2 Uranagis toward the end of this match. Of course, the final one was where the draw happened. But the first one she took, Sari just dumped her on her skull. And it was nasty. And I think she was just incredible here. I'm in the same boat where they just have to run this back at some point. Just got to do it.
Just gotta. Dylan.
I concur. I think if I was going to criticize anything about this match, is that it was too short. At 15 minute at 15-minute time of the draw, because I feel like, as we've talked about, Sareee was just kind of dog walking the poor girl. She at one point she got her in a leg lock, sat down, and said, "Let's see what you could do.
Get up.
Get up, come on, move, try to do anything right now, please. I'm begging you." And that was like that, like. And I love that part of Sareee matches, right? But I also kind of wish there was, 5 more minutes for Miku to get that grand comeback, even if Sareee was going to end up winning, or if it went to a draw. I think that there could have been more of that, of a stronger Miku comeback. There was obviously like her kicking her as hard as she possibly could in the corner, and there were like little instances, the Buffalo Sleeper, the Miku lock, that I did really like from Miku's side. But I felt like this was a very much a Sareee just really torturing the poor girl for 15 minutes.
I like the
That's why it's real,
when
by the way.
she targeted Sari's injured arm, because like if
Yes,
you look on
yes.
Miku's face when she was doing it, it was just like she was desperate, like she
Yeah.
needed to get ahead somehow.
There
think-
was this twinkle in her eye that she was like, she thinks she could just treat me like this. No, I'm getting her arm. I'm getting her arm.
I think Miku like does a really good job at composing herself for like majority of her matches. So when she shows the emotion and as an underdog, it jumps out to you.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt in this match, because like, she was calm, cool, and collected, probably a little nervous type beat, heading into this match. And then as the match went on, she was like, okay, this is not great. I am suffering. And then, once she starts attacking that hand, it's like, okay, now it's on. It's really incredible what these two are doing, I think, as the top, right? They are the top two champions. Everyone else is kind of, everyone's figuring out their way, but they're very much in a good place because of these two, and it really showcased here in this match. I like it going to a draw as well. You got to slow down Sareee one way or the other. Her losing is going to be a big deal, because that is the story of she has yet to lose in Marigold. So whenever that does happen, it'll be huge. But I don't want her losing anytime soon in terms of the title, but I do think Nanae beating her is something that should be considered come Monday. But we will see when we get there. She has 3 matches next weekend, so should be great, obviously. And of course, your main event of the evening, Utami Hayashishita versus MIRAI, top 2 stars signed to the company. Obviously, got to pay some respect to Sari, because she calls herself the ace. But these two are the aces of the crew. And I think one of the best story beats of the
Easy.
I know. Listen. It's 2 a.m. for me. Be nice, okay? Like one of the best parts of the Dream Star is that it feels like every time one of these two gets ready to wrestle, they have to bring up Sari, because Sari has pretty much called them chumps. And that's what you saw from MIRAI, especially. I think this ultimately was one of the best showings from MIRAI I have seen. It's not one of her best matches. Like her and Utami, I think, is a great match. I really enjoyed it. But in terms of performances and what she put into this match, it was all about her. And I think that's kind of been the selfless behavior of Utami for pretty much the first couple months of Marigold, is that it's been about everyone else, and you felt that in this match, right? We know Utami is someone that is hard for the crew to overcome, but this was about MIRAI, with Utami just being the one that she had to climb in this match. And I thought the selling of MIRAI was incredible, especially, right? She is getting choked out multiple times by Utami, and she keeps surviving and fighting back, and you would believe that she had nothing left. But that soul fights through, baby. And there was multiple times in this match where I thought MIRAI was going to kill herself bumping, including one specific lariat bump where she essentially spiked herself, which was crazy. Like, she spiked herself on the top of her head, and we were all like, oh no. Like that's not good. And she just kept going. Like that's the crazy part about it. And I think Utami answered well with the finishing bump when Mirai, hit the lefty lariat to get the win. This was really, really good. Obviously, I think they have better because this was a shortened match, right, for the
10
tournament.
minutes.
Yeah, it was 10 minutes, but ultimately in the end, I do think it was what I wanted from these two because obviously somewhere down the road, these two are fighting for the world title in one of the biggest shows Marigold has. So I look forward to that day, but not too soon. Obviously, we do not want Sari losing the title. But that being said, a great way to close it was Sari getting the win and pretty much telling you, Tommy, you're not her anymore. What happened? So how did you feel about the match, Xavi?
Well, first you said Sari getting the win, but you meant Mirai.
Oh,
but,
sorry. Well, Sari did get the win. I did mean Mirai got the
didn't,
win and then said
but-
to.
Yeah.
Obviously,
I
Might
told
as
you
well.
beforehand, I'm probably the low guy on this. It's like my fourth favorite match of the night. It was like, and the thing is, I didn't hate it. It was just like cool to me. Like after I was like, oh, that was cool. I like the the previous three matches more. But obviously Mirai bumping on that lariat was insane. I don't know why she did that. She really didn't need to do all that. One thing that I did like a lot about this match is just how out of nowhere the finish felt to me. Even though I knew Mirai was winning with the lariat, it just still felt like out of nowhere because I was expecting either a draw or them to like come down to the wire. And that just kind of ended. And I was just like, oh, that's all right. I mean, hey, I see what you're doing. I also like the added post-match stuff with Mirai, telling Utami she's got to overcome herself. She's the Utami she's experiencing right now isn't Utami at her best. But Utami's insisting that she's still gonna win the league. Mariah's like, yeah, whatever. Fuck all that. But yeah, this was a fun main event. Obviously, they're gonna have a way better match than this down the line, as Scott said. Definitely for the world title in a big venue, and it'll be very fun to see that when it happens. But for now, we'll have to take what we have. Mirai gets the first win in the first singles clash between them and Marigold.
And Dylan.
I feel like this is kind of bread and butter, if you will. I feel like these two, you can tell what matches they like, what kind of matches they like to have, and they were just like, well, how about if we just don't we don't try to get all fancy with it. We like doing some chokeholds. We like doing some lariats.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we got to do. And I think they did a wonderful job with pretty much just that. Like, I don't know if I could name another German suplexes that here and there. But, like, I don't know if I could really name any other major point of this match other than Utami choked the hell out of her. She choked the hell out of her again. They threw lariats at each other. And Mirai won. And I kind of appreciate the simplicity of that. You know what I mean? In a way, it reminds me of an old Dynamite and Sai match, right? Where she was just like, I'm just gonna get the Boston Crab. I'm gonna kick you a few times. I'm gonna bomb you, and then I'm gonna win. Like that's what I'm gonna do. I don't need to do that much more because I'm me. And I feel like that's kind of how they looked at this. They're like, we don't have to have a redux of the perfect match that we're going to have one day. We could just have fun here. And we could just kind of do what we do. And I thought it was really, really fun. Like you said, the Mirai bump was insane. And despite Utami being on offense for most of this, I do agree this was a great Mirai performance more than anything. And that's kind of the business Utami's been in. Like you guys said, is she's in that, you know what, I'm gonna let other people look good on my day. She even did that for Nozaki, who doesn't work there. You know what I mean? Like Nozaki had one of her best performances in the company, probably her best performance in the company, period, against Utami, because Utami's like, just kick my head off, homegirl, you got this. Like, you know what I mean? Like she was really selfless in that way, and I think that was the same thing here, even though this was like an 80-20 match, mostly favoring Utami. I thought that was a really, really good one. Also love Mirai just being like, hey, yo, Sari, coming for you. Like, I love that she keeps with that. You know what I mean? Even if she doesn't win this tournament, I have this like feeling that's like, that's a match that, they're kind of like subliminally just like, oh yeah, and by the way, Sari, you're a bitch. You know what I mean? Like Mirai, like every couple weeks, she's just like, everybody gotta remember, I don't fuck with her. And I think that's a cool way to keep that match a little hot. until it finally happens.
I mean, ultimately, that is how Sareee runs her matches. She keeps them in your mind, even if they're not happening anytime soon, right? She's gonna have matches with Utami and MIRAI eventually. Like, it's just has to happen before her time with Marigold is up, because those are the two biggest matches. And I look forward to them whenever they do happen. I'm gonna guess we're gonna wait on at least one of them, because I still think one of these two are winning this tournament. So at the beginning, I think it was MIRAI. I'm riding with MIRAI still. She got the big win over Utami, and I think she's getting built very strong here. But a great main event. I think if anyone's watching this show and you're not going to watch the whole show, watch the last 4. But you should watch the whole show. It's not a long show.
It's quick. It's not long.
It's really quick. That's kind of been the beauty of this tournament. Every show is fast, right to the point. You watch some good wrestling, you get out. But this was, I think, the best night of the GP so far, and we're rolling into some really good shows coming up. The next show is on the 20th, so that is Friday in Sendai. Sadly, it's in Sendai.
Nori's hometown not on the show.
Sad. I'm gonna guess she's probably doing something. That's why she's not there. We have MIRAI versus Koki Amare, Utami Hayashishita versus Natsumi Showzuki, Chiki Goo versus Nagisa Nozaki, and then we have Miku Aono versus Kazuna Tanaka, CHIAKI versus Nanae Takahashi, and Sari versus Misa Matsui. That should be a good show. And then the day after in Morioka, it's MIRAI versus Victoria Yuzuki, and Koki Amare versus Nagisa Nozaki, as well as Sari versus Kizuna Tanaka and Mai Sakurai versus CHIAKI. And then, of course, next Monday, Utami versus Nori, Koki versus Chika Goto, MIRAI versus Natsumi Showzuki, and Victoria Yuzuki versus Nagisa Nozaki, as well as Sari versus Nanae Takahashi, CHIAKI versus Bozilla, Mai Sakurai versus Miku Aono, and Kizuna Tanaka versus Misa Matsui. Let's quickly look at the standings here before we go home, because we're almost at an hour, and I promise no show will hit an hour. So this is obviously very different, because I do it in a different way. But as you can see here, Nori continues to lead the way. She's 5 matches in, 3 wins, 0 losses, 2 draws. Bozilla now in a tough spot. She pretty much has to win out to have a shot. If you think of how many times Sari is going to lose, think of how many times Nanae is probably going to lose the rest of the way. It's going to be a tough go for her. Mai Sakurai continues to be strong as well. And then in the Dream Stars, the tournament's called the Dream Star. Do you know how many times I've said that? This Dream Star. I'm like, no, that's the actual tournament. In the Dream League, you got Nori, then MIRAI, and Utami, and Koki, Natsumi Showzuki, Nagisa Nozaki, Victoria Yuzuki, and poor Chika Goto all the way at the bottom with 0. I know, it's sad. But I think Chika Goto's got a win coming up this upcoming week somewhere. Hopefully, just for Xavi. We got to get her a win, right? Maybe she beats Koki.
I think she should. I think that's the match I'm looking at.
That's the more likely one, because I think she's got her and Nozaki.
Also, you brought it up very briefly. Bozilla, terrible tiebreakers.
Yeah. But losses to Nanae and Mai Sakurai, obviously.
I expected the Nanae loss, but Mai Sakurai loss is very dangerous for her, given how points are shaping out.
Based on how it's shaping up, now that we're at this point in the tournament, we can talk about that final day. It does feel like she's actually going to be playing spoiler for Sari. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And I think you don't give away a win-loss there. Maybe it's a draw, just based off numbers here. There's a very good chance Nanae doesn't
Passion
lose.
run.
There's a very good chance Nanae is going the distance the rest of this way. I wouldn't rule it out, but I think that's the beauty kind of this tournament. It is unpredictable, especially in the Star League. There's, I think, 4 strong options, and I don't really dislike any of them. It'll be interesting to see where they go. I still believe in MIRAI, though, even though Nori is running away with it right now. But MIRAI still got, 4 matches to go? So plenty of time to catch up. But that is it. Let's do some plugs before we get out of here, because I'm tired. Xavi, plugs now.
Yeah, brains mush, but Xaviism on Twitter, 3 eyes. That's where you'll find me in anything I post. You can click the link in my bio and go to my Substack. That's where most of my content has been recently. So check that out.
Dylan.
Yeah, you see it on the screen. XX Ichiban on Twitter. Check out Storm Quest basically every Wednesday. Sometimes Thursdays, but mostly Wednesdays. And check out the No Limit Wrestling Show. We'll be out. Scotty was on one recently. And we're going, and we talked about Risa Nakajima. Great show. And we are going to be having another one quite soon. Actually, we kind of planned short notice one with me and Xavi doing an All Japan Women's show from the 90s. So we're excited to do that. And yeah, unfortunately, Nanae's not on the card, but some of her contemporaries were. And that'll be a lot of fun.
Make sure you all check that out. I'll be back on Friday for the Sendai recording, day 5, and then we'll roll on with that, as well as Saturday, and then Monday. Lots of recordings coming up. Can't wait. But thank you, everyone, for listening. Till next time, so long, everybody.